Yo, what's going on, guys? We're going to be doing my Pacers and Bucks playoff preview predictions. Way it goes is I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about Pacers, 5 minutes talking about the Bucks, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my prediction on who will win, and I'll also say how the team that I think might lose could still win this. But before we start, let me hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. How many games do you think this series will go? Who will be the winner and why? Let's get right into it. We're going to start with the Bucks. So the Bucks, did you know they have a losing record under Doc Rivers? They're the 6th offensive rating, 19th defensive rating, 12th net rating, 11th and 3-point percentage as I drop my phone. Now, they are the 4th best scoring offense, but they give up the 9th most points. They, in terms of 3-point shots, getting to the free throw line, and field goal attempt or field goal made, they're top. They can score the basketball. They're a top 10 rebounding team. Even though they're not a great offensive rebounding team, they don't really give themselves second chance points. And compared to how they were a few years back, they're significantly a worse defensive team than they were in the past. Now, the team currently, their leading scorers, they got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who might miss the first game, is averaging 30 points. Dame's averaging 25. Chris Middleton's averaging 15. Bobby Portis is averaging 14. Middleton's averaging 15. Bobby Portis 14. 13 from Brook Lopez. 11 from Malik Beasley. And then Jay Crowder, Pat Bev, and Pat Connaughton and AJ Green are all averaging like 5-6 points each. And that's the whole thing. When you look at this team, it's interesting. It gets weird. It's, as we looked over the last final 2 weeks of the season, the Bucks weren't necessarily setting the world on fire. The Milwaukee Bucks to end the season were 22nd in point differential. They were in their last 8 games, they were the 22nd offense per point scored per 100 possessions played, while their defensive rating, or not rating, but defensive points allowed per 100 possessions played was 21st. So they were actually negative. They gave up more points than they scored. That's worrying. I think star power wise, Dame, Giannis, Chris Middleton, those 3 guys are better than the Pacers' 3 best players. But I don't know if they have the defense to stop the Pacers. And I'm not going to sit here. The Pacers are also a bad defensive team. The Pacers aren't going to sit here and they're not scary, but there are especially if Giannis misses more than 1 game, that's where it gets frightening at that point. If we looked at their game against the Thunder, they ran, you assume the starting lineup, if Giannis isn't going to play, it's going to be Dame, Beasley, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, with Jay Crowder, Beverly, Danilo, Pat being the main guys off the bench. The thing is like, they're also an older team, so the Pacers love to run up and down the court. Can they run them off the court? That's another thing I'm afraid of if you're a Bucks fan that you have to think about. But Chris Middleton, he's been getting better as of late and being more efficient and looking like his old self. But I just think the concern here is, are they still the team that we thought they once were? And I get worried that we're looking at a team that might be not fully invested. And you saw Stephen A. Smith saying, "Oh, Dame's like unhappy." It hasn't been working. Doc didn't solve the problems. So for me, when I look at this, if Giannis misses a game or 2, I'm chalking, unless it goes Dame time, which that's the other thing. You can't count out the Bucks because Dame can go Dame time, and this game could get flipped up upside down. And I don't even know where to begin, in the sense that this Bucks team, if they're going to beat the Pacers, the way they're going to beat the Pacers is their best players are showing up and they're taking advantage of the fact that the Pacers are one of the worst rebounding teams, and that the Pacers allow the best three-point shooting against them. Like, teams shoot not three-point shoot, free throws and field goal attempts. Teams shoot well against the Pacers, but the Pacers do a good job of locking up the perimeter. But the good thing about the Bucks is they're not overly reliant on the perimeter shot like that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, they love their top 5 perimeter shot, shooting team, but they also score a lot inside. Specifically, if you look at the Bucks, they do a good job of scoring inside. So I think if the Bucks can be bigger and their best players show up, this could be a Bucks win. Let's go over to the Pacers. So the Pacers, our team, they do such a good job. Like, teams cannot shoot 3-pointers against them. Literally cannot. They force teams to shoot under 33s against them. But they struggle at rebounding and fouling. Teams get to the free throw line a lot against them. But they're good on the perimeter. It's the inside that hasn't been as hot. Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Haliburton, and Miles Turner are the 3 key figures for this. You got Pascal, Tyrese, and Miles, who are going to be 3 dudes that I think are going to be huge for them. Now, when you look at Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Bruce Brown, and I know Benedict Mathurin, obviously, I know he's done for the year, but I brought him up as they've been able to adapt their style of play and their rotations, even though they've dealt with injuries. Benedict undergoing that labrum injury, but going into this game, you're assuming Tyrese Haliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner with TJ McConnell, Doug McDermott, Obi Toppin, Jalen Smith, Ben Shepherd, all coming in and providing some shooting for them, which I think is what they want, and some depth on when those guys need to come off the floor. For me, when you look at a team like the Bucks, where the Bucks are, when we look at their rotation, we're going to assume that Tyrese is going to be up against Dame. That's going to be a battle. I think Andrew Nembhard, Ben Shepherd, Aaron Nesmith, and whoever else going up against Chris Middleton, Malik Beasley, I think they'll be able to contain them there. Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner and Jalen Smith and Obi Toppin. If Giannis is out for the first 2 games, I think they can handle Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis pretty well. But I don't know if they'll be enough to stop Giannis if he is available. That's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I think the Pacers could win this even if Giannis comes back, but the Pacers are younger, longer, more athletic team that they might be able to run the Bucks off the court, and that's something that I don't think people are realizing when you see teams like the Bucks, who are older in years past, and when they face a younger squad, I just think the size with Pascal, Miles Turner, Jalen Smith, like Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis aren't going to be pushing this team around. Yes, I know they're not a great rebounding squad, but at the same time, if they can hold up inside and force the Bucks to shoot 3-pointers and try to beat them with a 3, then this is a Pacers win for me easily. As the Pacers, when you look at it, I think they have more depth. Even though they're younger, and the inexperience is going to get them, but Rick Carlisle is a better coach than Doc Rivers. I'm sorry. Rick Carlisle is a better coach than Doc Rivers. You can't argue that one. So for me, when I look at this situation, I think it's definitely telling that we know this whole hinges on Giannis, but even if Giannis is playing or isn't playing, I think the Bucks have a chance to lose against a younger, quicker, push the pace team that in Indiana, if you saw at the end of the season, Indiana in comparison, I told you the Bucks were one of the worst teams in the league. Or not worst teams, but weren't too hot at the end of the year. The Pacers, surprisingly, were a team that was out here playing amazing. Their point differential was number one. Their points scored per 100 possessions played was number one in the league over the last 2 weeks at 129.2. Yes, their defense is 117, but the Bucks leak points. So if they can just score, I don't know if the Bucks can do anything about it. And that's the craziest part about this is the Pacers could really easily just run the Bucks off the floor. And the youth, the coaching, I think there's a lot of factors here at play that would push for that, to happen in their favor. So I want to hear your guys' opinions before we continue. What do you guys think of the Pacers, and what do you think of the Bucks in comparison about the age? Am I making too much of a thing about nothing? Let me hear your thoughts on that one. So let's go ahead and talk about these two. This is the prediction. Guys, I think this is a 6-game series, 7 games. This is going to be a long one. I think the fact that the Pacers are younger and like their size, like in terms of rebounding and rim protection, isn't that great, but because they're so potent offensively and they can run up and down and push the pace like nobody's business, I really think that's going to be very, very much worrisome for the Bucks. And the way that I look at this, if I'm the Bucks and Giannis, if Giannis misses one game, I'm still leaning Bucks because Dame time in Milwaukee and Giannis. I mean, if they lose this game, Dame's requesting a trade. Dame's out of Milwaukee. It's over. Giannis is leaving. They're firing Doc Rivers. I'm exaggerating, but it's not. It's bad news bears, and that's where I'm torn as a basketball fan and as someone analyzing this game. When you look at the stats, I think you see a Bucks team that they're able to score, but they bleed points. And the same thing go with the Pacers, very similar situation, but the Bucks are able to rebound, but they're not able to stop the perimeter. And the Pacers are the best scoring team. And I just think the Pacers, if they can just, these games could just be duels where these are two teams just dueling back and forth, duel till the last man wins. And after that, and it's huge. So for me, I think that's the biggest thing for me when I look at this. I think it's just interesting. I just think it's interesting to see the matchups, as Pascal, I think, is better than Chris Middleton at this point. Tyrese and Dame are at the same level. Obviously, Giannis is better than Miles Turner and what they can do. So for me, was interesting because I'm torn, but if I had to choose, I'm going. If Giannis misses more than 2 games, Pacers will win in 6 or 7. If Giannis misses 1 game, Bucks will miss. I think it hinges on that. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you guys have and why? But yeah, that was basically my thoughts. Do you guys agree with me, or am I just a moron? It is definitely going to be interesting to see how these playoffs play out. As, dude, it's anyone's guess who's going to win this. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Goodbye, guys. Cheers. Hello. We're making this the 14. Bye.